Welcome back to Storyteller. We're on part 3 of our 3-part series on the FLDS, a religious cult of polygamists lorded over by chief pervert and alleged prophet of God, Warren Jeffs. I'm Courtney.
I'm Teresa.
Do I have a story for you?
Ooh.
Before we start, a huge trigger warning. This episode contains detailed accounts of physical abuse, sexual abuse, and assault involving minors. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Oh, I'm not staying.
Yes, you are.
No.
You're too wrapped up in cords to leave.
That's true. I could just nap.
No, don't.
Your voice is so soothing, though.
No, it's not. It's scratchy. In this final chapter, we're diving into what happened after Warren Jeffs took the throne of this religious kingdom, how one man turned faith into fear, built a kingdom of silence, and transformed a barren stretch of desert into a fortress of control in his own sick playground. Of course he did. For years, the people of the FLDS believed that they were the chosen ones, set apart, pure, protected. But under Warren's rule, that promise curdled into something far darker. It began the moment he became prophet, the moment the whispers stopped and the rules multiplied. First, yeah.
So the Sister Wives show? Or
So
they
they're
part of this?
AUB, and AUB was a splinter group off of Mormons when the FLDS, they were like, we're going to keep marrying people. The AUB also split off, and some of them still practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Polygamy. Obviously, that's what the Sister Wives are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Courtney's my sister wife. Except for we don't have the same husband.
we each have our own, but
She's still my sister wife.
it's more of a spirit thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing Warren did after assuming control was simple: erase all joy. He tightened the dress code, which seems impossible, but he found ways. No more denim, no more printed fabric. Every woman was required to wear long underwear beneath her already full coverage dress. Her hair was to be braided and styled to precise specifications that Warren set. Intricate and time-consuming, the braids almost were like a uniform. And he had a FLDS produced self-help guide on how to do your hair in one of these 4 approved. It's wild. I will show
like a little tutorial type of deal.
And complete with drawings how your face looks dumb before it, but it'll look so good after. One of these 4 approved.
I need those hairstyles. Isn't there you have to braid your hair a certain way and everything?
Yes, and you had to have your because part of the Mormon hair thing is the poof on the front, and and then these intricate one lady was talking about the fish braid, then there was 6 strand and all, they had to do it, and one lady said it took 4 hours every day for them to do their hair.
So I actually didn't realize how easy that fishtail braid was.
Everyone tells me that, but I can't do it.
Really? So I actually have to watch someone do it before I can do it again. Mm-hmm. But Valley actually taught me.
Oh, shout out Valley.
She's really good about doing braids and amazing hair and everything. And she used to help me with Kendall's hair. And she was like, "Oh, just do this." And I was like,
that was super easy.
Yeah, I was like, it always looked way harder
than that. I could learn. I could watch the FLDS produced hairstyle.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll find that. I'll make you watch that.
I can't wait.
It's enlightening. Been doing my hair wrong forever. Yeah, one woman just said, it was something you had to do. You have to. The prophet said, these are your 4 approved. You had to do it. So
I would like to think that a prophet had better things to worry about than what my
you don't have better shit to go going on. Fuck.
Don't you have a universe to do or something? Yeah. I don't know.
Shouldn't you be concentrating on your spirit children? Small pleasures of individuality were just absolutely gone. Music disappeared, celebrations vanished, sound of joy
Sounds
at
like
all.
the plot of Footloose.
He probably like secretly watched that movie and was like, hell yes.
Wait, what year is this? Maybe he directed it. We just don't know.
No. This would have been like 2002.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he moonlights as a movie.
Here comes Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon needs to go down to.
He'd be like, those jeans are too tight.
Sugar Creek or what? What's
I don't remember. I can't remember.
No, the name of the town.
Oh, Short Creek.
Short Creek.
Yeah.
Sugar Creek.
Sugar Creek. Sugar was banned. So.
Send Kevin Bacon down
Yes,
there.
he'll turn it around.
Yes.
Children were forbidden to go to zoos or fairs. They used to have a lot of parades, like in the community, and everyone would don like their coolest, 4th of July prairie dresses. Those were taken. No more of that shit. Then it was the color red. The color of passion, vitality, blood, and Warren bound it. He was like, I hate that color. And then he said, the Lord delights in pastels. And I don't know if that's in the Bible. I meant to check, but if it's not in the Bible, that's a wild thing to assume.
Well, during Easter is very
Pastel. So
pastel-y.
it might be in there. It might be in there. I just don't know. But anyways, that's what he was like. Red ain't no pastel.
So in this little community, are the only people that live there the FLDS?
Now
there
it's a
other
bit
people?
different. But during this time, yeah.
Okay.
It was just, and they...
So it wasn't like the community still had parades and they just couldn't participate. It was because the whole community consisted of this cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it was all just them. It wasn't about faith. It was about control. Every woman who had gone to college before or, earlier 80s, 90s, they became nurses or teachers, midwives, women who had once been allowed to contribute meaningfully to their community. They were called home. None of that. No more. You're not doing any of that. Their education was seen as worldly, unnecessary, and corrupting. Yeah. Dictators usually think educated people are corrupt. Just saying. And as their world shrank, Warren began to build his new one, bride by bride. Marriages were arranged at dizzying paces for himself and for other people in the community. Rebellious or strong-willed girls were to go the first to go, often as young as 14, sometimes to men old enough to be their grandfathers. Yuck. At the Caliente Motel in Nevada. Caliente. Warren performed underage marriages, skirting legal scrutiny by exploiting loopholes in the state's law. Because at this time, Nevada had a law that if a girl was 14 and her parents gave consent, she could be married. Which no one's going to tell the prophet no when he's like, your 14-year-old's getting fucking married. So they would drive them over and skirt that loophole.
The fact that that's a law in Nevada is disturbing to me.
Gross, yeah. Very gross.
I hope
it's changed since
yes.
then. I really do. I hope they were like, ooh.
Yeah, maybe we should not do that.
Yeah. Two of these underage marriages were that of Elisa Wall and Ruby Jessup. Both were just 14 years old when Warren forced them to marry. Elisa was married to her 19-year-old first cousin, Alan Steed. And she'd grown up like around Alan, and Alan was known for his cruelty. He was a jackass, I guess, to everyone around him. So
you'll kill her in the making then.
So, yeah, she's like, oh, great. I have to get married at 14 to a 19-year-old. At least I guess he wasn't 90. I don't know. Silver lining.
Cousin.
Yeah. First cousin. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck. What's the rules in Nevada on that? Ew. Ruby Jessup was married to her stepbrother, Haven. So gross. And when she was first told that she was going to, one, get married, and then second to Alan, the jackass of the family, Elisa, at only 14 years old, very bravely asked to talk to the prophet. She told Warren, I do not feel like I should be getting married. I'm too young. And also, Alan is an asshole and my cousin, my first cousin. Ew. Warren leveled a cold look at her and said, do you feel like you know better than the prophet? Yes.
Oh, I just can't believe that these people stayed with this going on. Like, it's baffling to me. Like,
it is,
as a mother and everything, just to sit there and like, no, you're not marrying my 14-year-old daughter off. Yeah. Like, get fucked.
Yeah. But you have to, because I always go to that too. I'm like, what the fuck is the matter with these people? All of them were raised from birth. They knew nothing different. And they had been told their entire lives to disobey the prophet is to damn your soul for eternity.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Even if that was true. 100% fact.
Cool.
I'm okay with it.
My child isn't a child bride, though, at least. So, yeah. Elisa's mother had to come stand next to her during the wedding ceremony.
While she sobbed?
Yes. To get Elisa to say yes. Like, Elisa could not make herself say yes. So her mom had to come up there. And Elisa said her mom squeezed her hand so tight that Elisa was like, fuck, I have to say yes because, like, my mom is going to be punished for this if I don't. Because, you know, it affects your whole family. And Elisa also said that, like, the whole front of her wedding dress was just soaked from all the tears. Like, it was just wet through. Ruby has still never forgiven her mother for allowing her to get married at 14. She doesn't even know where her mother is. After she left the FLDS, her mother wouldn't come with her, and they've never spoken again. So, good for you, Ruby.
I was going to say.
Yep. Elisa was soon raped by her husband. Elisa would later describe sitting in the bathroom afterwards, because again, she had no idea. No one told her what was going to happen. She had no idea. Like, Elisa did say, she was like, I assumed he had to touch me in some way, and I told him not to, and he said, fuck off. So he raped her. She sat in the bathroom afterwards, sobbing, trying to find where God's will was in all of this that had just happened to her. Like, what part of the loving God is that?
And also, there's no place for women in this whole, you know, pyramid scheme of
heaven.
Yeah, that they have going on. So why would you even bother listening to a prophet?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it sounds to me like no matter what, you're still going to hell or damnation or just you're excluded from this very all-inclusive, you know, all-inclusive male club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd be
what
like,
am I doing up there? Yeah. Maybe hell's got some like ragers or might be more fun down there.
I'm hoping so. We all know where I'm going.
Shut up. Elisa, again, very bravely went to Warren. She, you know, in her 15-year-old's mind, again, she's a child. She went to Warren and was like, I'm going to go to him and I'm going to tell him the horrible things that my cousin husband is doing to me. And Warren will be like, oh, hell no. Wrong. She went to Warren, again, very bravely. This is so brave of her to report that her cousin husband was raping her. And Warren told her to go home and submit herself, body and soul, to her husband. That was the only way, like, she was ever going to get salvation.
Gross. I hate those guys.
I hate him. When you see his picture, too, you're like, ew.
You need to look him up.
You should, because it'll ruin your day. So, again, she was a child, and she was taught to believe that her suffering was sacred. Like, she had to do this. There was no other choice. During her marriage, she miscarried twice before she escaped, and she really wholeheartedly blamed herself. She believed that she was impure and unworthy of motherhood, and that's why she was losing babies. In reality, she was being raped and abused by her cousin. Her
body was just, ew.
Mm-hmm. That's the guy we're following? Ew.
Hey, is that all of his wives?
Yeah, are they all in pastels?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the one. Yep. So, when she finally has the strength to leave, first of all, she was almost 18, maybe 17, and has gone through just a mountain of shit, you know, being married to this absolute abuser.
Yeah, so she's been done with this for at least 3 years, possibly 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she was rebellious. That's why they were like, marry her off. But she was like, the only person that's going to save myself or me from this is myself. So she did push. She got a little like server's job at a restaurant in Short Creek. And then she learned how to drive so she could drive herself places. And that was super rebellious, having a job and driving to it.
So who decided that marrying a rebellious girl off was gonna like stop that.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I definitely saw like some quotes about from Warren and everything, but I don't know if it's like a long-standing idea. I think it was. I think on like one of the documents,
they're like, oh, I can't talk back anymore.
Yeah,
I'm a married woman now.
Yeah, what? I think the thing was like maybe they won't not be rebellious, but they'll be so like tied to this man who's gonna knock her up immediately. You know, like she can be rebellious all she wants, but she can't like leave her family. You know, that I think they were holding on to that side of things. And what? Okay. I hate all of it so much. So I think she's like 17 or something, and she gets a flat tire one day, and a guy in the community, I think he had been one of, like he had been shunned out, but had grown up in the community. He stopped to help her, and they did become friends. She was like, that was the first male besides my father and my brothers that I was not absolutely terrified of. Like, I didn't feel unsafe around. And just being friends with this guy, somehow Warren found out, and he calls her and Alan into his office, and he's like, you fucking sinner, you are going straight to hell. You are done with this marriage. Get out. You're apostatized. Get out of the community. And then he turns to Alan, who has been raping this girl since they got married and physically abusing her, and goes, job well done. Yeah. And Elisa was like, fuck all y'all. I'm out. Yeah. And she did marry her friend, Lamont.
Best day of my life.
Yeah. And so they got out and everything. And then, shocker, like they were able to have kids and stuff. Like, girl, it's not your fault. It's your body is under a tremendous amount of stress. Like, I can't even imagine. So she finally found the strength to leave. She was kind of kicked out. But she was like, I'm leaving immediately. I'm not even going to try. Because some people would be like, can I come back?
Yeah.
Can I come in? She was like, done. She presses charges against Warren and Alan Steed, her husband, for rape and essentially like accomplice to rape is what it was.
Okay.
When she was 19 years old. She's so brave. Like, it's nuts.
So does she have to press it through like another? Does this community even have a police department?
They do. Remember, they have the God Squad.
That's right. I forgot about the God Squad.
But she did it with the Utah, like, I think the like Salt Lake City. We'll get a little bit more into it. But I think it's the Salt Lake City. I don't know if it was federal. Might have been federal because I mean, he's going all over state lines, so it might have been federal prosecutors.
Okay.
But Ruby Jessup's story is heartbreakingly similar. At 14, she was forced to marry her stepbrother, even though she had fallen in love with another young boy in the community. His name is Joe Roebuck, and they're in the Keep Sweet documentary, and they're never together in this documentary, but they're both talking about how, you know, they're like 13 and just completely in love with each other. And no one's allowed to have cell phones, but they each got a phone somehow, and they would just, every night they would spend talking to each other. Yeah. They would fall asleep on the phone to each other, and you can still like tell when Ruby's talking about it, she's like just a smitten kitten, and like Joe's essentially crying over it and everything. So it was, they were like, you know, some people have been able to marry who they want. So they were just so hopeful, not thinking that time is like, the clock is ticking on their relationship because they're 13 and 14. Nothing's going to happen. We don't have to be asking anyone. And then all of a sudden, Ruby is forced to get married. So Warren must have like learned of that relationship and forced her to marry within days to her stepbrother. And when she was married, I think that night, she says in the documentary, she's like, we had to consummate the marriage, and that was a really rough night. And it wasn't long after that she was like, I fled. Her brother was out, and she was like, you need to come pick me up. But when Ruby fled, she must have said something to someone essentially like, I'm going to tell someone that they forced me to get married as an underage person. And that got back to Warren, and Warren panicked. He ordered Joe, the kid that he had a crush on, to return. He was working in Salt Lake City. He said, you need to get back down here and you need to go get Ruby. And so Joe comes back and he's like, Ruby, will you please come back? She's like, absolutely not. And Joe must have called Warren from wherever Ruby was. And he's like, yeah, she's not coming back. And Warren's like, if you can get her to come back, you guys can get married. You can marry her. Joe brought her back. Ruby was taken back to her actual husband, and Joe was excommunicated immediately.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And Ruby ran away again. No, because now she's a fucking prisoner and they're keeping her on lockdown.
Yep. She was sent back to her abuser. Years later, she has 6 children. She is now, and it is really heartbreaking in this documentary. She goes, none of those children were my choice. She's like, I love every single one of them more than myself, but I didn't have a choice in any of this, which is so true. And that's for every single woman in this community. It's gross. It's really gross. She said, I love all of them, but it's really made, like, she said, I don't think I can ever forgive my mother for letting me be married at 14 because her kids now are older than she was when she was supposed to get married, when she was made to get married. And she's like, I can't imagine what in the hell. So
I still can't believe that they just kicked Joe out and everything. He's like obedient. And
yes.
Like was working.
Yeah. Well, and Ruby had called like when the day she found out she was going to get married, which was only like 2 days before it happened. And she was like, Joe, let's leave together. Like, just come get me. And he was like, I'm going to come get you. And then he called back and he was like, I can't. I'm devoted to the prophet. And then he does all this stuff for the prophet. And the prophet's like, get the fuck out.
We are not devoted to you.
Yeah.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah. So it just, those are the kind of stories that you're like, wow. So Warren taught that a man could only reach heaven through at least 3 wives. So these women became currency of salvation. Men who questioned him, men like Lloyd Wall, lost everything. Their wives were reassigned, their children ripped away, and their lives dismantled. That's how Ruby ended up marrying her stepbrother, because Ruby's mom had been reassigned to Fred Jessup, who was a ghost in the, he's so old and he couldn't have kids. So they would reassign women to him. And so
reassign them like their property.
Yes. Ugh. And, Ruby's mom and all of her kids got reassigned to Fred Jessup, and then Haven, her husband, his mom got reassigned with him. So it's her probably a cousin too. Who knows?
Probably.
Yeah. So, that's how, anyways, Lloyd Wall, once a respected businessman who had started a company that manufactured parts for NASA, dared to question Warren's authority. His punishment, his second wife and their children were taken from him and reassigned to Fred Jessup. Warren's message was clear. Your family is not yours. They belong to me.
What about the first wife?
She got to stay. I think they were legally married because Lloyd was a convert to FLDS, which is very unusual, but they let him in because he was rich, he was educated, he was smart, he had very lucrative businesses, and they were like, hell yeah, get in here. Also give us those businesses. So I think they took the second wife away. I actually think he had a third wife, and I don't know that they had children yet. They took her away, so it was just him and Myrna left. So they're in Keep Sweet. Yeah, they're in Keep Sweet too. So
he just wanted to join so he could get another wife.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he cites religious beliefs, but yeah. Okay. Warren perfected control through fear and isolation. He began to purge the ranks of young men, excommunicating hundreds as they were seen as competition for the wives or threats to his authority. These boys were called the Lost Boys and were cast out into the world that they've been raised to fear. I mean, they've told everyone out there is going to hurt you, not help you, and now they're just thrown out there like trash. Many had no formal education, no money, no life outside of the church. Meanwhile, those who remained were forced into labor. Construction projects for major corporations all across the country, from Walmart to Amazon. They worked long hours for little or no pay, and a private investigator named Sam Brower, who spent 2 decades chasing Warren's crimes, called it what it was: human trafficking in the name of God. And that's truly what it is, because the FLDS will get these huge jobs, and they bid them way lower than anybody else because they're not paying any labor. So these kids are transported. They're taken out of school, and they're transported all over the country, and then not paid. And if they are paid, they're like, you got to send that to the church, you know. So
all the money that they make on these contracts goes directly to the church or to Warren?
They're one and the same, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the kids, he was actually one of Warren's sons, and he was made to leave his mother at 13, go on one of these cruises. He did get paid, but he was only allowed to keep enough to pay for his cell phone and to help with like groceries with like the other adolescent boys he's living with that are also working on this. Like, yeah. And so everything else he would send back to the church. So I
would just lie. I'd be like, they didn't pay me this week.
Oh, no, I got lost in the mail. So for people who stayed, obedience was survival. That was the only way they were going to get through this, just to keep obeying this guy. If a man questioned Warren's leadership, his punishment was swift and public. Like right after Warren became prophet, I think within 6 months, Warren walked into a meeting and excommunicated 20 prominent men, including 4 of his own brothers. He told the congregation, "You will see even some of my own blood brothers turn against me under pressure, and we will see times like the ancients." There's no ancient. It's 100. It's 150 years old. Yeah. Stop saying ancient.
What's he referring to when he keeps saying that? Just stop.
Yeah, no. When these men were expelled, Warren instructed them to stand up, walk out, and not look back. Like, stand up, do not look this way at your wives and kids, walk this way. To the wives that were left, he said, "You are released from your husbands. Report to the prophet to be reassigned."
Oh my God. I would just fucking leave with my husband.
Yeah.
Even if I was like his 18th wife. I don't even care.
I'd be like, "Where am I going to go? Things are a little weird here now." Like,
that whole reassignment thing is just killing me.
It's awful.
Like, they are not property. Like, stop. We're getting reassigned. No. Mm-hmm. It is killing me.
They are just like currency to these people. That's all they are, you know. They're the ticket to heaven.
Like, you're getting kicked out. This is what you're gonna. Fuck you. I'm not getting kicked out.
Right.
You're kicking me out. So
I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't know what these people were so worried about, like getting kicked out. I mean, I know that they've been brainwashed and they're like, I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna go to hell and stuff. But you've kind of been living in it. One. Two, the other thing, if you're like worried about people judging you, like you're never gonna see these fuckers again. Ever. Yeah. They don't leave their community. And if you do see them, it's probably because they escaped. And you can be like, great, I have a support group for you. Just go. So, but they were told things just would, awful things would happen. So those men that, they may have walked out that day. They may have listened to him. But it wouldn't be the last that Warren heard from them. Thank goodness. Because by 2003, Warren had to start dodging subpoenas tied to lawsuits from the excommunicated men. They accused him of siphoning millions from the UEP Trust, the fund that owned all FLDS property, and using it for his own personal benefit. They were really fucking right. So, UEP, United Effort Plan.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So they were like, okay, follow this. Here you go, asshole. So
he kicked me out.
Yeah. So he starts getting a little worried. So Warren crafted a new narrative. He told his followers that God had commanded him to find a new land, Zion, and using it. And where the faithful could escape persecution. He told them that the government would soon attack, just like in 1953, and that he alone could lead them to safety. Under this pretense, he fled Utah and the subpoenas and began building what he called Zion.
But wait. Is this new land going to be the floating land now?
Apparently, yes. A revelation from God said Short Creek is not blessed anymore. It will not be the floating island of salvation. He's got to go out there.
Damn.
Yeah. She'll come up again, but that bitch Naomi is one of Rulon's wives that married Warren.
Yeah.
And he made her his scribe. Just say secretary. But anyways, her whole job was just to write down everything. So she was always with him and quickly became like his favorite wife. Well, when he's like, I've got to go find the promised land, aka dodge subpoenas, Naomi's with him and he's like, drive me to New Mexico. And he's like, nope, this isn't it. And I was like, if God told you, he couldn't like write down an address. So he, so he is like, I've got to build Zion. Finally, he found some land, and it was near El Dorado, Texas, a state where, shockingly, at the time, girls as young as 14 could legally marry with parental consent. He probably was that.
But not anymore, right?
Not anymore. Texas.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good job, Texas.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Now.
Yeah, now.
Why it was a law in the first place.
Like, yeah. So Warren decides this is going to be the Yearning for Zion Ranch, or the YFC Ranch, and it became his new empire. Access was exclusive. Only the most obedient, most generous, and the most compliant were chosen to go. Warren dangled the promise of Zion as a reward and a threat. He wouldn't let anybody know where it was. So unless he called and was like, "Hey, you get to go to Zion," pyramid scheme. He was like, "You can pack up, you can come to Zion, but you cannot tell anyone where Zion is."
Righteous gemstone vibes.
It very much is. Isn't there resort something Zion's like? Yes. People would just. You had to be literally called by God, Warren, to come there. One lady, Charlene Jeffs, she was married to Warren's brother, Lyle or Seth. I don't know, one of the shitty ones. And
they all seem pretty shitty.
Yeah, some of them are like, yeah. But those ones were really awful. And she had 8 kids with him or something. And he kept taking her kids and being like, "They've been called to Zion." And she's like, "Yeah, we'll get into that." He was just taking the kids from the moms and being like, "Well, you haven't been called to Zion. You are not worthy." So Charlene is like, "Okay, I know my husband's going on these big road trips." So she, which is pretty ballsy of her, thinking of how
herself.
She didn't. She didn't. But I know that would have been amazing. Yes. But he'd be like, "I gotta leave for my special mission." And she'd be like, "Okay." So she'd run out to the truck and she'd check his mileage. And then when he got back, she'd check the mileage and she took a map and okay, well, it's gotta be.
What was that far away?
And then, and so she's like, "So it could be here, here, or here." And then she's like, "Well, that truck is covered in red dirt, so it must be Texas." And so she figured it out, where he was going to, but still, I don't think she ever got called to Zion. I think eventually somebody...
Did she just go and, get her damn kids?
No, there's 4 of her kids are still in the FLDS. And this was the documentary was in 2021 when she was being interviewed. So I can't imagine. I wouldn't be able to, go on. I'd be like, gonna steal them.
Yeah.
So yeah, he really would threaten people with that. He'd be like, "I don't know, if you haven't been called to Zion, it must be because you're not righteous enough. You're not doing what you should." So
you're
this
disobedient.
Guy, yes,
talking back.
Yeah, this guy is all in on the control. And on this isolated stretch of Texas desert, Warren built a new world, one that revolved entirely around him. When they first went in there, they did their own gravel pit. They did a concrete mixing plant. It looks like a small town. The aerial videos are, it's insane. And they started building these huge houses for all of Warren's wives. And once the wives finally started, some of them would finally be worthy enough to go. Warren started holding heavenly sessions. And these started with misconstruction deadlines. So he was like, "You need to build these houses, roads. We're going to start on a temple." And if people weren't making his deadlines that were outrageous, he'd be like, "I have to atone for my sinning people. So we need to have these heavenly sessions." And they were just group sex.
Just big old orgies. Gross.
So
don't involve other people in your weird fucking sexual fetishes.
Yeah. So under the guise of atoning for his people's sins, Warren would lay on a bed surrounded by his wives, 2 half moon, stadium seating of wives, apparently. And he'd be like, he was so dramatic. He'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm near death." And he'd have these fits and stuff. And he'd be like, "The only way to bring me back from near death is for you to take off your clothes." And so yeah, it's what, everyone start disrobing or else I'm going to die. So these wives are like, "Well, fuck." So they would. And he, as I said, everything he did, said, anything was always recorded, usually by Naomi, his wife. And then audio recorded. So there's audio recordings of these. There's one where he's like talking in his prophet voice and he's like, Heavenly Father, bring me back from the brink of death. And then he'll be like, if you're not smiling, I don't think you enjoy it. And then he goes, you cool? And he's like, disrobe. It was like prophet frat boy. Prophet. They are vile.
What do they say?
They are. Oh my god!
Is this on the Sweet documentary
This one
too?
is on that's one on Peacock. And it's about like it's really focused on Naomi because she was like riding around with him during all of this, and he's doing very illegal things. Like besides taking everyone's money, he's marrying young girls and raping them, and forcing people into group sex. And she was just like. Okay. So everyone's a little bit pissed at Naomi. But this whole show focuses like on her and kind of like her roles and things. But yeah, they have the recordings and they play them. And every time you go, so.
But is there a reason why she was doing this? Like, was she just trying to like save herself?
No, it was required. And once Naomi was gone, then there was a different scribe. So a prophet always had a scribe. Everything.
What happened to Naomi? Did she leave?
She was kind of kicked out, left herself kind of thing way down the road.
Okay.
And so she is out now and like goes to school to be a nurse and everything. She's the the daughter of Merrill Jessup, who was married to Carolyn with his favorite wife.
Okay.
And then she became Warren's favorite wife. So there's some manipulation that has been passed down.
I was curious,
she wasn't doing it for fun. No, they were, these prophets by nature kind of have to be narcissistic. So they're like, yes, write every word I say down. Record it for the peoples.
Yes. So when someone writes a book of book of Warren Jeffs.
Right, it's just right there. Yes. It just needs light editing, So he records these awful heavenly sessions. And if you watch that show, you the treat of listening to some of them. Even as his crimes deepened, Warren continued to marry, and the girls grew younger. In 2006, he took 12-year-old Marion Jessup, again a daughter of Merrill Jessup, so Naomi's sister, and he took her as a wife. Warren proudly dedicated to his scribe, Naomi, I escorted my new wife, Marianne, among the family and had her listen to training from me and Naomi on how to be a heavenly wife. I don't know exactly what that, heavenly wife training was, but based on what heavenly sessions were, awful. Mm-hmm. And that was with her sister, Naomi. Naomi is Marion's sister, 16 years older, and she in this documentary is like, well, it was like a little weird, but you're not supposed to question the prophet. And then
there's like a lot of like incest stuff.
Oh God, it's just like so gross. And so Naomi's kind of like, well, I kind of thought it was weird, and she's making these excuses for herself. And all of a sudden in this documentary, she goes, Marianne wanted to marry Warren. She wanted it. She looks at the camera and says she wanted it. Marianne was 12.
I was going to say, was she wearing provocative clothing?
Was her pastel too racy? There's no such thing as consent when you're fucking 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like, watching that show, I'm like, I kind of want to stab Naomi. Violence isn't the answer, but
sometimes it is.
Somebody should flick her in the nose at the very least.
Yes. No, we don't do that. Stop Naomi.
As Warren's spiritual rot spread, so did his greed. He told his people that the end of the world was coming, that their salvation depended on their sacrifice. Sell your possessions. Give it to God. He's God.
And then give me the money.
Yeah. And they did. Families maxed out credit cards, sold their homes, starved their children. Literally, people were like, we don't have enough food this week, but the prophet said that we needed to give $1,000 to the church to build Zion where we will be saved. So they're like, no food for you. We have to give this money to the prophet.
God, just the brainwashing and gaslighting and just
it's so much
manipulation and everything. And you sit there and
is different levels than I even think could be like achieved. So
it's crazy to me that people just don't have that free will because they've been so brainwashed that they're like, yeah, this makes total sense. Yeah. This makes absolute for us to starve to death. So the prophet.
One lady in the Keep Sweet documentary said, I was more afraid of disobeying the prophet than I was of death. She's like, listen to what I said. I would have been much more comfortable dying than disobeying the prophet. And I was like, that's when you leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm. So, so, his people are selling everything they own, starving their children, while Warren funded luxury vehicles, hotels, and the construction on the YFC temple. Wives were pitted against one another. They told only those who gave the most, and they couldn't provide financially because they weren't allowed to work. So physically, who would qualify for Zion? So essentially, like, even Warren's own wives were like tattling on each other and trying to win his affection more and more and more because that'll get them to Zion. Can't do it financially. Then I'm going to use psychological warfare and, my body essentially to try and save my eternal soul. One wife, Vicki Thompson, Vicki is out now. She's adorable and her kids are adorable. In the documentary, she has braces on. She's like 30, in her 30s. And she's like, I got braces. Her son had been taken to Texas without her by Warren. He was like, oh, Wendell is his name, needs to go to Zion. You haven't qualified. So she's like, okay. And she's, for a while, she tried to do everything, just be, keep sweet to the highest degree. And that wasn't getting her in Zion. And she was like, well, I'm just going to, she took a good look around at Warren's type, which is childlike. He really liked super thin women with no chest. And she's like, okay, I'm just going to lose a shitload of weight. And she essentially starved herself. If you look at pictures from like when Vicky's like, I had to lose weight, you're like, what weight? And then when you see afterwards, she's like, you're like, oh yeah, she's real thin. I mean, she lost a dangerous amount of weight. And suddenly, crazy, Warren received a revelation that she was worthy to join Zion. Ding, ding, ding. So, the barren Texas plains, they are getting all these people eventually. And as, construction work finally meets some deadlines, this huge white temple, it is garish, rises from like the scrub brush in Texas. It is massive and it's blinding white. It's kind of tacky.
Like the Taj Mahal of Texas?
A little. It's a little tacky. A holy monument built on lies, labor, and the suffering of children.
Where do they get the land from?
They just bought it. It was 1,600 acres for $700,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they did tell everyone in that not neighborhood, but community, they're like, oh, it's going to be a hunting retreat. And then they, fenced the whole thing and you had to be like buzzed in. So people like ranchers were flying their little planes over and they were like, my God, look at that huge fucking temple. And so everyone then in El Dorado were like, oh. Throughout all that was going on, Warren was hard to find by his people. People who were used to being able to go to the prophet when they needed counsel. That's like half of being a prophet is like helping your people. And Warren wasn't even pretending anymore. Warren claimed that the government was persecuting the chosen people and that his absence from the community was because the Lord commanded it.
He's running from the law.
Mm-hmm. If I were to speak, he said, the government would step forth and persecute us. And with that, Warren really disappeared. He became both invisible and omnipresent. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Nice. He made himself untouchable while making everyone else disposable. The result was a culture where silence was holy and obedience was everything. And Warren's control wasn't just spiritual, it was surveillance. Even when he was on the run, his so-called God Squad watched everything. Cameras started popping up.
God Squad still.
God Squad. Cameras lined the streets. They were put in the churches. They were even like the God Squad would be like, "Hi, we need to come in your house and make sure you have a picture of Warren Jeffs on the wall." Yeah. There were reports of men entering houses to ensure the portraits were there. In the meeting halls in church, cameras would zoom in on people to make sure they were saying amen. Okay.
If you weren't,
like a bouncer would come and get you, and you'd be excommunicated.
Oh my God!
The God Squad muscle would be like, "Get up." Where am I?
Like the Gestapo. Here.
Yes, he's a full Hitler with it.
Yes.
All of this was monitored from a central room known as the Pigeon's Nest, where every movement, every prayer, every act of defiance could be seen. In Warren's world, God was always watching. He's God in this scenario. Yeah. In 2005, Warren Jeffs had turned the FLDS into an empire of silence. But outside the walls, the world was finally catching up. The lawsuits from expelled men, the whispers from former wives, and the underage child brides he had forced into marriage with old men, it was all closing in. So Warren actually disappeared. Like, he had been hard to find, but now even his own people had not a single clue where he was.
You know, I hope the guys that married these girls too, I hope they got prosecuted.
They didn't.
Persecuted and prosecuted.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. I hope everything happened to them. No, not really though. He'd been deep underground for almost a year and a half when in May 2006, the FBI added him to their 10 most wanted list. Which is a wild turn in the story. Like, it's him and like Osama bin Laden.
There must have been like so many complaints and charges and everything that they were finally like, okay, this guy is such a menace.
Yeah, I think it must have been the federal in Utah, and when they couldn't find him after a year, the FBI was like, "Ew, we have this thing. Yeah, that might help." He was charged with arranging underage marriages, felonies he'd justify as divine revelation. But Warren wasn't hiding in caves or safe houses. Nope. The prophet was out there living his best life. These pictures are annoying and also hilarious because he took his favorite wife, Naomi, and he hit Mardi Gras. He bought motorcycles. He never figured out how to ride them, I guess. He stayed in hotels. He visited the St. Louis Arch and took pictures of him in his dorky-ass outfits in front of them. He went to Disneyland. He traded his suits for leather jackets and designer sunglasses, and even let his favorite wife, Naomi, get her hair put in cornrows. It's not a good look for Naomi. So while his people lived in fear and legitimate poverty, Warren Jeffs lived in
took that money.
He was fucking living. I think he was at a Lions game, like an NFL game. Yeah, and they're all wearing their Gentile clothing, just living it up. Each week, trusted members made so he's living in luxury, financed entirely by the donations of his followers. Each week, trusted members made drops of hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. So first of all, I think in 2006, Warren's brother, Seth, is caught. And they must have saw his name and was like, "Can we search your car? Your brother's being super weird." And they found $200,000 on him. Oh. And then they just like let Seth go. I think maybe he got like a misdemeanor. I don't know. And
let him go just to follow him, don't you think?
You would think, but no. Oh. And so
it wasn't something like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a little trickery on their part.
Right. Yeah. So the donation squad, I don't know what they were called, who was handling the money. They were like, "We got to get smarter with this." So they'd buy tomato sauce in bulk, empty them all out. Again, people are starving in this community, and you're just like throwing away tomatoes. Like, you can reuse that anyway, and whatever. Stuffing the tomato sauce cans with all the money each week, and then delivered it to Warren wherever he was in the country. The average amount per week, not month, per week, $300,000.
Dang. Oh, so I'm telling you, start my own church, you guys. Yes. Please join it.
It seems lucrative. So the money was supposed to build Zion, to save the chosen people.
Well, I just looked up a picture of it.
Did you of the FYZ? Mm-hmm. Why whatever? Did you see the temple? It's ugly, right?
It's it kind of reminds me of a horse stable.
Yeah. Yes. It does have that kind of vibe. So, while this money is supposed to be going to build Zion, save the chosen people, it was instead funding the prophet's nationwide joyride. All the while, in El Dorado, Texas, the temple rose higher. The community rejoiced at its gleaming white walls when they were completed in July of 2006. It was, they thought, a new holy era, but the temple would soon reveal the truth, and it wasn't built for salvation. It was built for sin. In August of that same year, Warren told his followers he was leaving for one last trip, and that the temple dedication would take place on September 11th, 2006. He packed up, left Zion, and headed to Las Vegas, super holy place, to perform some marriages. I don't know if they were underage marriages. I just know that he was there to perform 5 or 6 marriages. So, this trip would end a little bit differently than all his others. So he gets there. They stay in a highfalutin hotel, I guess. He performs his marriages. He's like, gotta hit the road. They're just outside of Las Vegas. And on August 28th, 2006, in a red Cadillac. So he's in a red car after not letting anybody wear red.
The red's the forbidden.
Yeah, with temporary tags. You're just cruising down the highway. Inside is Warren Jeffs, his brother Isaac, who is his driver, and his favorite wife, Naomi. Police pulled him over because the temporary tag was like flipped up and they couldn't see anything. When they pulled them over, they found wigs, disguises, prepaid phone cards, burner phones, and $55,000 in cash. The prophet of God, caught like a common criminal. And their pictures while they're being arrested on the side of the road are pretty funny. Naomi's is like...
Their cornrows still.
She didn't have them this time.
Oh, damn it.
I know. That would have been incredible. I think I would have framed that. It was finally over for Warren, or so people thought.
Fine. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Warren was extradited back to Utah, and he was held at the ironically named Purgatory Jail. And there, he began to unravel. In January of 2007, just 4 months into his confinement, Warren had what he called a crisis of faith. He told his brother on camera, and there's video of this, "I have been a liar. I am not the prophet."
Shut up.
Yes. He was
Damn, he had me fooled this whole time.
I know, he's like,
plot twist,
I'm
y'all.
fucking with you guys. And he's like, find somebody else, whatever. For a brief moment, it seemed like the spell had been broken. That was probably the only time in Warren's life he had been telling the fucking truth, like, ever. But then came the silence. He did. He kind of went radio silent for a couple months. FLDS members gathered across the street from the jail 24/7. There was just like a horde of FLDS members praying for their prophet, waiting for him to speak again. And finally, after 2 months, I know, it's all so bad. It's so bad. Finally, 2 months later, he called. He told his people that the Lord had tested him. Damn. And he had passed. So I'm sorry for what I said. That was just a test. I'm back. I'm good. He was, in fact, the prophet after all. All his followers, desperate for certainty, believed him.
What was the Lord testing him on?
His strength, his faith, not getting raped in jail. I don't know. I hate him so much. Okay. That September, Warren stood trial for being an accomplice to rape, the case brought by Elisa Wall. Elisa was barely in her 20s, and she had already survived a childhood of control, coercion, assault, and she took the stand and she told her story. She looked at her abuser and the man who ordered her marriage in the eye, Warren Jeffs, and Warren couldn't make eye contact back with her.
No, of course not.
No, yeah. The defense... This is never a good tactic. I don't know why people ever even try this, but the defense tried to paint Elisa as complicit, suggesting she wanted it. They were like, yeah, but like you wanted to be raped by your, right?
By your cousin.
Yeah, by your cousin husband.
It's something.
And she was like,
your husband.
Your husband. We're just laughing through the pain. Oh my God. So thankfully the jury saw through the charade. And in September 2007, Warren Jeffs was found guilty. For the first time, the man who preached that women were less than men, that their only path to heaven was through obedience to men, was brought down by the courage of a woman who he had tried to destroy. Elisa Wall had changed everything. Her victory was monumental, but inside the FLDS, it was seen as proof of persecution. Yay. It only strengthened this faith that Warren was the prophet and he was being persecuted because the government is attacking God's chosen people. So instead of opening the eyes of some of these brainwashed people, they're like, no.
Oh my God, he was right.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They were like, he was telling the truth the whole time.
And the fact that it was one of their own.
Oh, yeah.
That brought the charges.
Oh, yeah. They were like, that apostate's a fucking liar. So, no, that didn't. But Elisa was really, brave. She stood, throughout the trial, they kept her identity secret. But after he was found guilty, she went on the steps of the courthouse and was like, if you're still in there, like, I love you. If you're my family member, I hope that I'm here, I guess, if you ever open your eyes kind of thing. So, yeah. But... So Warren's in jail in Utah, and his wives, his people are just on the YFC ranch with this huge temple that's never been used. So they're all just kind of going about their business until the day that a phone call came in from a 15-year-old girl named Sarah Barlow Jessup. As she called a shelter in Texas saying she was being held against her will on the YFC ranch and that she was pregnant and that she had already given birth to one child. So, on April 3rd, 2008, Texas Rangers and state officials descended on the 16-acre property looking for Sarah Barlow Jessup. One of the sheriffs, Nick Hanna, I think is his name, he's in one of the documentaries, he said it was essentially like trying to search a town, 1,600 acres. He's like, and they all have these huge buildings. The search goes on for 5 days. They bring in CPS because when they got in there, they thought there'd be like 100 children on this ranch. There was 468 or something.
Oh my God.
Just children, not just the adults, you know.
Yeah, because the adults haven't been chosen. Or is this?
Oh, no, there is adults on it and stuff, but I think there was maybe 600 adults. So there's like 1,000 people on this property, but they thought their numbers were completely wrong. They thought, there's going to be, maybe 400 adults, and there was just so many more. So they were like, oh my God. So they keep searching. Day 5 comes. They can't find Sarah Barlow. The only building left to search is the temple, and all these Texas Rangers and Nick Hanna, that you can tell they're like religious men. They're from the Bible Belt, and they were like, we did not want to go and like upset this temple. We did not want to break into their place of worship, but we have this girl that called. So the FLDS was told by Warren would call while the raid's going on, and he's like, if you let them in there, like, we're all going to hell. And so the FLDS people are like, okay, well, we don't know what the fuck to do. They have armored vehicles. These guys went in there very prepared. They're all packing heat. They've got all their stuff. And I mean, after Waco, if I was a police officer, I'd probably be dressed to the nines with all my armored regalia, like they didn't want another Waco situation. But when all these kids have been their whole lives told that authorities are bad, and then all these police officers are storming the place in armored vehicles dressed up like that, like absolutely terrifying. Some of the kids in the documentary were 5 when it happened, and they were all dressed in black and like their SWAT stuff. And one little girl was like, I literally thought that was a devil. She was like, I didn't know what that was, so terrifying. So anyways, they're like, we're going to have to go in the temple. Sorry, we have to find this girl. And there was like FLDS men posted like every 3 feet around the temple, so they couldn't get in. And they're like, hey, gotta get in. So they did move some guys, but nobody like got hurt or anything.
I would have just surrounded the temple with all them kids.
Yeah, seriously.
Move them kids.
Yeah. So they get in the temple, and it is stark white. Like, it's white floors, white, carpet, black, curtains. It is eerie in there. The pictures, you're like, they're going through this place, and in one of the rooms in this place of worship is a bed. A very weird bed. It had like, you know, those like benches that you kneel on in some churches? It was almost like that, but at the end and the sides of it. It had some weird coverings on it. And they're like, oh, bed, what you doing here in this place of worship?
You know, in case you get nappy.
I guess. Well, they also find a safe and they break into the safe. And in this safe is every, priesthood record is what they called them of the FLDS ever. And in these contain every marriage that has been performed and the names, dates, and ages of every marriage, including all the underage ones. Oh.
Linus.
That's our producer.
Come here, Bubba's.
So they are in this and they start going through it and they start finding all of those recordings that Warren, had a recording of everything that he did. And, what he was doing to the people, on that thing, it says who it was. And yeah,
and their ages and everything. So,
and the Naomi, this fucking bitch in this documentary is like, can you believe it? Warren just 3 days before the raid told his brother Isaac to take all of that priesthood record from Short Creek and put it in that vault. So if they had done that raid 3 days before, they wouldn't have had any of that. And I'm like, oh, now that's God.
Yeah. Right.
That's divine intervention right there. So again, so they find all the shit. They've gone through the temple. There's still no Sarah Barlow Jessup. And that's because the girl never existed.
Who called?
Some lady in Colorado with no ties to the FLDS, but did have a history of making false reports. I don't know if she watched the documentary or what, but she made a phone call and all of the stuff. The Barlow and Jessup is a huge name in the FLDS. Both of those, like, she had shit down pat. She knew what she was talking about. The kicker is once they're in there and searching for 5 days, they find exactly what was reported. They don't find Sarah, but they find tons of underage girls who are, one, pregnant, or underage girls with, like, toddlers. So they are, well, we can't ignore this, So there's a lot of points of contention on this because it really snowballs and people are like, you got on that ranch by a hoax, But then they found exactly what the hoax had been about on there and worse. So it's so bad. On that bed that they had found, Warren Jeffs had performed what he called heavenly sessions, including raping his underage brides while he made his other wives look on. The vault on the property, they found thousands of documents, meticulously kept records of every marriage, all the ages, everything. And then while they were searching, they found journals written by young girls in their school classes describing their pregnancies.
Oh.
Yes. Audio tapes of the ceremonies and eventually, just recordings of all the assaults themselves. The most damning, again, was a 14-minute recording of Warren raping 12-year-old Marianne Jessup, surrounded by his wives. On the tape, Warren's voice is calm, instructional almost, as he gives her a blessing. And as he's giving this blessing, you can hear his breathing grow heavier, and you can hear her, well, he first says to her, "How does it feel, Marianne?" And then she said, "It feels fine, thank you," in her 12-year-old's voice.
Oh.
It is the worst thing you're ever going to hear. It's awful. And then, again, this is what I treat Naomi in this documentary. She's like, that was just a blessing. Warren had a cold and was throwing up and a kidney infection. That's why he's breathing heavy.
Oh.
Like, she goes on for like 5 minutes. Like, no, that wasn't even in the temple.
Yeah,
like, she just...
That didn't happen at all.
Yeah, you can hear her as his breathing grows heavier, and you can hear her say, "Thank you." And it's awful. It's awful. So, thankfully, the evidence from that raid, the awful, awful evidence, sealed Warren's fate.
So how did they find out that it was a hoax?
Eventually, I think the Texas Rangers traced the call. And because she said she was in a a shelter, or no, she called a shelter in San Angelo, Texas, which was about 30 miles, I think, from the ranch.
Okay.
And so I think they traced it back to her. And it wasn't her first time calling in some weird shit. So I'm like, why are you doing that? But also...
But is she kind of like, I don't know, like a little... like amateur private investigator?
I have no... Yeah.
Like what... Do we have any other things about what she's called in, like other hoaxes and stuff?
No, I've never heard anything more about her. Just that
Like, what if she's out there helping catch serial killers and
Who
shit?
Who knows? Because I was like, she really hit the nail on the head, though. Yeah. Like, wow. So all that evidence did seal his fate. In 2011, I think in 2010, actually, Utah, for some... because of bad jury instructions, overturned his conviction for accomplice to rape. And Texas was like, it's cool. We have a wealth of evidence against this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So he is extradited to Texas after Utah's like, bad jury instructions. And Texas was waiting right there. So 2011, Warren Jeffs faced trial in Texas for aggravated assault of 2 underage girls, his wives. One was Marianne. The other one was a 15-year-old girl named Veda Keat. And Veda had a baby at 15. And the baby's DNA matched Warren Jeffs. So that was pretty locked down. Warren thought it would be a good idea to represent himself. It was not a good idea. Spoiler alert.
But he's the prophet.
Yeah, it didn't go good. And they played those recordings in front of the jury, which was like 10 women and 3 men. And some of the reporters that were there were like, you could see the women crying, or you could see other ones being like, all the reporters were like, it was a good fucking thing that room was full of Texas Rangers, because these women were like about to come over the jury thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, like.
That's just the motherly instinct.
Yes.
So that's like just... kills me.
The ratio of mothering to brainwashing is very...
Yeah, their own mothers didn't even give 2 shits.
No, didn't have that kind of reaction to what was happening. Yeah. So those priesthood logs detailed every abuse. DNA connected into the mother's newborn. I do need to go back a little bit. I forgot during the raid, so CPS is like, we have to take all these kids. Like... all 468 of them.
Yeah.
So before even he goes to jail or get, trial, all the mothers had to like get lawyers to get their kids back and stuff. And when Texas CPS took the kids off the ranch for the first time, FLDS used media to their advantage. And they remember in the raid in 1953 when Time magazine took photographs of the women without their children, and how that really helped the FLDS. Same thing here, except they are putting them on like Good Morning America in their pastel prairie dresses, and these women are just sobbing like, I don't even know where my baby is and stuff. And it's like, you didn't know where your baby was until you were called to Zion. You didn't give a shit then.
Yeah.
Well, one of the women in Larry King Live, there's like 6 of them. And Larry King's like, so you all have never seen an underage pregnant girl. And the one is like, absolutely not. And then
they're like her own daughter.
She's the midwife.
Oh.
The next fucking picture slide is her holding the baby of the 15-year-old girl that Warren married and had a baby with. She gave birth to,
Yeah.
And she's on Larry King Live being like, absolutely not. Okay. No one is pregnant. No, they did. Texas kind of had a tiger by its tail. Like, they didn't know how many kids were in there. They take them all. They didn't have a place to house them. So after 6 weeks, most of the kids were returned to their mothers. And even, I think, Marianne, who she, is at the center of this, she was just returned to the ranch and probably married to a different old man. Who fucking knows? Reassigned.
Not married, reassigned.
Mm-hmm. So he was found guilty, thank God, and he is sentenced to life in prison. He is eligible for parole in 2038, I want to say, but he'll be in his 80s, so hopefully, yeah.
That's still old, young enough to marry some girls.
I mean, his dad was, so yeah. I guess after preaching for...
like the prophet still?
Yeah, we got one more section here to see how he's, even in prison, Warren Jeff's voice never went quiet. He used the phone system in the ranch to continue preaching, spending over $20,000 a month.
Fucking hell.
On his like call, yeah, and
Starting
it's just
a church.
make it rain. It's all paid for by his followers. I mean, that's not coming out of his pocket.
Yeah.
So every Sunday, his sermons are piped through speakers in the FLDS meeting halls. His words, distorted and distant, are shaping lives still of those on the outside. He continued to control marriages, excommunications, even family separations, all from his cell. He ordered his followers to pray every hour on the hour for his release. So from the time they got up to the time they went to bed, they had to stop, pray every single hour. When it didn't come, I mean, he hasn't been released. He told them that's your fault. And their lack of faith was keeping him in prison.
I'd be like, you're too expensive to be our prophet anymore.
You're kind of bleeding us dry.
Sorry, but
yeah,
we need to be dying.
We need a different wealthy prophet. Then he started making some weird demands. I mean, he's got all this time on his hand. First of all, they couldn't buy any clothing anymore. They had to hand stitch all of their clothes right down to their shoes, so they cannot purchase anything. He also forbade milk and sugar. But the warden at the jail claims that he eats Fruit Loops for breakfast almost every morning.
But not with milk.
No.
He just uses water.
He doesn't. He's like, do you have half and half?
Give me the good stuff.
Yeah.
Give me some heavy cream.
Don't be skimping on my Fruit Loops. In 2022, his revelations started getting even more scary. Like, they were ridiculous before. Now they've turned scary. And there is a Reddit page that is /FLDS. And a lot of people have left that. Go on there and be like, can you give me any information? Like, there's a lot of conversations on there. It's essentially just a, reader board of different things about the FLDS, current, past, pictures, all that stuff. And you can tell when these started coming out, I went back through it. You could tell, like, the people who had left and still had family in the FLDS, they were freaking out, and they still are. In 2022, he had a revelation and told his followers to return all of the children to the church by any means necessary. So any of the children that had left with their mothers, you need to get them back. And the command has since fueled a series of kidnappings of children from their mothers who have escaped the FLDS. There was just... there's more, but I was reading one article where just in 2023, 6 children had been taken from 4 different mothers around Idaho and Utah. They're just kidnapped out of their beds at night, or they're just taken. One was as recent as June of this year in Idaho. The mom went to her Bible study class, and when she came back, her 2 kids were gone, completely gone. No idea, like wiped from the earth.
Do you think they're taking them down to Zion? So a part of that 2002 prophecy was that he also was like, all of my followers must die in the next 5.5 years to reach heaven, a la Jonestown. So these women who are having their kids, like, they have a pretty good idea who took them, where they're at, but they're like, is there going to be a mass suicide? Yeah.
Where are my kids? And this is happening all the time. I mean, one of Warren Jeff's brothers, I think in 2024, was charged with kidnapping because he was just taking kids and,
So wait, when was this? In 5 years, what year was it?
2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So got a little bit of time, but
not much.
Not much. Yeah. So yeah, the mothers are like, this isn't a religion. It's human trafficking in the name of God. Like, he still has all of that control. And then just to note, the state of Texas took the Yearning for Zion Ranch in 2014. It's owned by the state and leased now to do military training and police training. So everybody kind of had to leave. Well, now they're infiltrating the Dakotas. There's a pretty big, I think there's about a dozen different settlements of FLDS in just North Dakota. And I know there's more in South Dakota and maybe one in Colorado. Okay. So they moved up. They're in the neighborhood now, which isn't great. So technically Warren Jeffs is still the leader, but even though it already had been, his grasp on reality is really fading. The day-to-day control now rests with his son, Helaman Jeffs, a man torn between listening to his father and all the crazy shit he says and survival. So he tries to follow his father's orders as best as he can, even when they contradict basic reality. Jaden Jeffs is one of Warren Jeffs' sons, and he left, I want to say like 2023. He has a podcast and a blog, and it's very insightful, everything he went through. But so I got this information off of his website because this was what was going on. This is the most recent of somebody who was in there that we know about. So Warren Jeffs' other son, Helaman Jeffs, is running things, and he wants to claim complete obedience to everything his dad said, but most of what his dad is saying is absolute bonkers shit. So he's got to kind of weigh that out. And the membership has really dwindled. The remnants of the FLDS live under Warren Jeffs' shadow still, fractured, secretive, very afraid. Yeah, and there's just kidnappings going on. Like, it's awful.
That's insane.
It's crazy. Like, he's in jail, but that only strengthens their belief in him. So,
because their government's coming after them.
Yeah. So even in the darkest systems, there are often those who find their way out, and there's a lot of these. In the history of FLDS, people like Elisa Wall, she broke her silence. She took him to court. She won. Utah did over, but that's nothing. They're idiots. And Rebecca Musser, who is Elisa's sister, she was married to Rulon, and then when he died, Warren's like, "You're marrying me," and she was like, "Go fuck yourself," and she escaped over the wall of like the compound. She was like, "I'm out." So I think she's a real estate agent now, but she had testified in the Texas trial and wore a bright red shirt. So
for her.
Yeah, her memoir is called "The Witness Wore Red." So Ruby Jessup, she's the one that has 6 kids. She's living back in Short Creek. And she just goes and gets tattoos all the time. And like, you can tell she's still really hurting, but she's really trying to go through. But in the thing, she was, in the documentary, she was going to get a tattoo. And I was like, yes, girl. So, and the person giving the tattoo was like, I have so many questions.
Who does it?
Brielle Decker, who was Warren's 65th wife. And she escaped out the window of the house in Short Creek, the compound there, out a window barefoot. And she later, after she left, she reclaimed that massive mansion in Short Creek. So like Warren Jeff's old home, because it's huge.
Yeah.
Turning it into the Short Creek Dream Center, a refuge for survivors. Brielle now helps women heal in the same rooms where she once prayed for freedom. Her story and the stories of so many others are proof that light can grow in poisoned soil. Brielle is really interesting, and it's just, like, that would be so hard where all that trauma happened to be like, no, I'm going to take it back. And now she runs it as a survivor center.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. The UAP is trying to give, that was that trust that he really abused. Eventually the state kind of took it over after all those lawsuits. Well, now they've turned it around, and they're trying to give all the real estate back to FLDS members who have left. So they get very cheap housing and things like that. And yeah, it's just like they're putting money back into their public school system. Like, they're really trying. People who left the FLDS have been moving back to Short Creek in droves, trying to make that like a better community. And Elisa Wall was like, I didn't think I'd ever be able to live here, but I really had to face my trauma, and I'm so glad that I did, because now they're turning it into a community that is, bright and shining, and not one filled with absolute control and scary shit. So it sounds like the police force is an actual police force and not run by the church. God Squad. And also,
wait, wasn't it the God Squad and the Righteous Gemstones too? What were they?
Oh my God.
Remember the guys that worked out?
Yeah. Well, were they the God Squad?
I can't remember for sure.
Oh, now I need to know. Yes. Oh, so many things. Yeah. So yeah, we talk about Warren Jeffs, and it's easy to focus on the monster, the cult leader, the fugitive, the false prophet, but we really need to remember the people that he left behind and how they are just really taking their whole lives back. And I think that's a great part of this story.
The fact that he still has such a hold on some people.
It's nuts.
That they're going out and like kidnapping
Yes.
And that stuff is nuts to me.
It is.
I don't think it's going to be a mass suicide, though, in 2027.
You don't think? What do you think?
Because then he won't have power over anybody.
Right.
Like, if they all die. Like,
yeah.
Because he's too narcissistic. He's not going to fucking kill himself.
No.
So if he gets all of his followers right now to kill themselves in 2027,
what is he going to do?
Yeah. Then he has no power over anybody.
Yeah.
So
that's a very good point. And that's what I never understood when he started expelling all these people. I mean, yes, some people have left of their own accord, but there was like mass excommunications by him, and I just never understood that. Like, you're just releasing these people that you had a complete control over. I mean, these people were devastated when they were kicked out. Probably not after a while they weren't devastated, but why are you doing that? And I don't know, it's like, do you thrive off of the hurting people part of it more than the controlling people part? But I just that guy is, some things are so like easy to understand and very thinly veiled, like the shit that he does. It's so easy for people on the outside to see, like, did you really believe that? Yeah. What? But when that's
other things, all you know for your whole life and everything.
Yeah. So
but you also got to think, like, if this is what God wanted, why wasn't like this all the time?
That's very true. Why weren't they
like, why were we allowed to wear denim when your dad was the prophet?
Right.
Why was red all of a sudden banned? Yeah. If God didn't want it, it was God's will. Like, why was it ever allowed?
Yeah. That's a good point. So they were just told, like, how dare you question the prophet?
Yeah.
So that is the horrible story of Warren Jeffs and the FLDS, and just everyone who lived to tell about it and got out. And that's the biggest takeaway. Like, these people were faced with the craziest just life and got out of it. I would just be like, I'm going to lay down for 6 years.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah, so anyways, stay tuned to Storyteller. I don't know what I'm doing next. I'll figure it out.
She got this.
I got it.
Okay, let's go.